Good morning, everyone. Till now, we discussed about the fluid volume, fluid electrolyte balance. In fluid electrolyte balance, we discussed introduction and regulation and factors affecting that, and what are the mechanisms involved in this fluid electrolyte balance. And after that, now we have to discuss about the electrolytes and their imbalances. And average daily intake of water is total intake 2500 ml. In that, in 2500 ml of water, in that water of metabolism 250 ml, and water in moist food, that means any solid foods we take in our daily afternoon meals and night meals, we take some of the solid foods. In that also there may be water content will be there. So 750 ml or 30% of water in that food. And water in beverages, that means water or coffee or tea or anything. In that also 1500 ml or 60% of water in beverages, any juices or any drinks. Okay, and totally 2500 ml we took water in our body. And average daily output of water lost in sweat 150 ml, that is 6%, and water lost in feces 150 ml, and water lost through skin and lungs. For skin, sweat, and lungs, perspiration. Skin, perspiration, and lungs, expiration and inspiration. In inspiration 700 ml, that is 28%, and water lost in urine 1500 ml or 60%, and total output is 2500 ml. And normally there is a balance achieved between our total body intake and output of water, and total fluid intake is modified by the induction of the sensation of thirst. Okay, and this is mainly produced by a reaction of cells in hypothalamus. The hypothalamus, the thirst mechanism which is stimulated in the hypothalamus, and increased osmotic pressure of the blood passing through this region, and dryness of the oral mucosa, this stimulates the thirst. And regulation of body water, decreased amount of water in the body or increased amount of sodium in the body, and increased blood osmolality and decreased circulating blood volume results in any release of ADH. ADH means antidiuretic hormone, and it is secreted from the posterior pituitary, which is situated in the hypothalamus, and it produces thirst. Okay, then thirst mechanism involved, and the thirst mechanism is triggered by a decrease in plasma osmolality, and this thirst mechanism which results in a dry mouth and excites the hypothalamic thirst center. And after that, the mucosa of the mouth is moistened and continues with distension of the stomach and intestines, resulting in inhibition of the hypothalamic thirst center. Okay, and regulation of water output. Drinking is necessary since there is obligatory water loss due to the insensible water losses, and after that any volume of urine depend on fluid intake. And what are the influence of ADH? ADH means antidiuretic hormone, and this hormone which helpful for the avoid the retention of the water. The amount of water reabsorbed in the renal collecting ducts is proportional to ADH release, and water is reabsorbed, okay, by the kidneys because of antidiuretic hormone, release of antidiuretic hormone. When ADH levels are low, most water in the collecting ducts is not reabsorbed. Okay, and this is main function of the ADH is water reabsorbed. Okay, if any water retented in the kidneys, that will be reabsorption will occur through ADH, that means antidiuretic hormone, resulting in large quantities of dilute urine. When ADH levels are high, filtered water is reabsorbed, resulting in a lower volume of concentrated urine. Okay, and ADH secretion is promoted or inhibited by the hypothalamus. If the secretion is inhibited by the hypothalamus, okay, And promotion also, it is regulated by the hypothalamus in the posterior pituitary gland. And after that, in response to changes in solute concentration of extracellular fluid, large changes in blood volume or pressure or vascular baroreceptors. Okay, this is the main influence of antidiuretic hormone. And what are the problems of fluid imbalances? Now we see electrolyte imbalances. Okay, deficit or excess of one or more electrolytes. Electrolyte imbalances in electrolytes. What are electrolytes? Potassium, calcium, magnesium, hydrogen, anions are negative charged ions. And for example, bicarbonates, chloride, and phosphate ions and proteins. Okay, and these cations and anions combine according to their valency. These electrolytes are substances whose molecules dissociate or split into ions when placed in water. When placed in water, these electrolytes are split into the ions. That means if sodium chloride, that is NaCl. Okay, NaCl, sodium chloride, when we this electrolyte, when we put into water, and these electrolytes divided into two ions. Na plus is cation and Cl minus is anion. Okay, it is splitted into two Na plus and Cl minus. Okay, are you understood? And after that, these substances are found in ECF and ICF that dissociate into electrically charged particles known as ions. Cations are positively charged ions and anions are negatively charged ions. Okay, hydrogen H plus and magnesium Mg plus 2 and calcium Ca plus 2 and potassium K plus, sodium Na plus 2. Okay, and negatively charged ions are Cl minus, P minus and HCO minus, like this. Okay, these are the cations and anions. The concentration of electrolytes can be expressed in molecules per deciliter, millimoles per liter and milli equivalent per liter. And see the normal level of electrolytes in appendix. The role of electrolytes in cellular functions include the following: regulation of water distribution and osmolality, and regulation of acid-base balance, and transmission of nerve impulses, that is neuromuscular activity, and contraction of muscles, clotting of blood, and enzyme reaction. This is about the roles of electrolytes in cellular functions. What is the main role? Water distribution, osmolality, and regulation of acid-base balance, and transmission of nerve impulses, and contraction of muscles, clotting of blood, and enzyme reaction. And these electrolytes are responsible for the enzyme reaction and clotting of blood. Okay, and these are the main roles of electrolytes. And this is extracellular fluid and intracellular fluid. The violet color is extracellular fluid and green color represents intracellular fluid. Okay, after that, electrolyte balance. First one, sodium. What are the importance of electrolytes? These electrolytes play a vital role in maintaining homeostasis within the body. Homeostasis means equilibrium. Okay, and they help to regulate heart and neurological function, fluid balance and oxygen delivery, and acid base balance, and much more. Okay, the main important functions of these electrolytes are these electrolytes are help to regulate the heart and neurological function and fluid balances and oxygen delivery, acid base balance, and much more. Okay, and after that, and electrolyte imbalances are excessive ingestion and diminished elimination of an electrolytes, and excessive elimination of an electrolyte that may causes electrolyte disturbances and may result to kidney failure. And electrolytes are important because they are what cells, especially now heart and muscle cells, used to maintain voltages across the cell membranes and to carry electrical impulses, nerve impulses, and muscle contractions across themselves and to other cells. And kidneys work to keep the electrolyte concentrations in blood constant despite changes in the body. For example, during heavy exercise, electrolytes are lost in sweat. Okay, particularly in form of sodium and potassium, these electrolytes must be replaced to keep the electrolyte concentrations of the body fluids constant. And how to regulation of electrolytes, water distribution and regulate acid base balance and maintain a balanced degree of neuromuscular excitability. And there are many different kinds of electrolytes in the body. These may include sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium and chloride, bicarbonate and phosphate. Okay, and in that, sodium, first one, sodium electrolyte balance. First one, sodium, predominant extracellular cation, and this sodium is a predominant extracellular cation. Cation means positively charged ion, that is plus. Okay, Na plus, and its molecular weight is 136 to 145, and the pairs with Cl minus and HCO3, sodium bicarbonate, to neutralize charge. Okay, and its pairs with NaCl and NaHCO3. NaHCO3 means sodium bicarbonate and NaCl means sodium chloride. Okay, and most important ion in water balance, and it's important in nerves and muscle function. Okay, sodium is the chief electrolyte of extracellular fluid, and it moves easily between intravascular and interstitial spaces and moves across cell membrane by active transport. What is active transport? The molecules which are transport to an high concentration to the lower concentration to one of the higher concentration, but require energy. Okay, in the form of ATP. Okay, active transport requires ATP for energy. The energy production depends on oxygen and glucose availability. This is active transport. What is active transport? The fluid moves from an area of lower concentration to the higher concentration. Okay, this is about active transport. And after that, many chemical reactions in the body are influenced by sodium, particularly in nervous tissue cells and muscle tissue cells. Mainly, there are some cells which are influenced by the sodium. The chemical reactions which are influenced by the sodium are particularly nervous tissue cells and muscle tissue cells. And what are the functions of sodium? It controls and regulates the volumes of body fluids, and it maintains water balance throughout the body, and it is the primary regulator of ECF volume. Okay, it is the primary regulator of ECF volume, and it influences ICF volume. What is ECF? Extracellular fluid, and ICF intracellular fluid volume, and it participates in the generation and transmission of nerve impulses. It is an essential electrolyte in the sodium potassium pump. It is an essential electrolyte in the sodium potassium pump. And what are the sources and losses of sodium? An average daily intake is not known, but the average adult intake is eliminated to be between 6 and 15 mg. And the RDA recommended daily allowances for adults is approximately 500 mg for 0.5 grams. And the sodium is found in many foods, particularly bacon, ham, sausage, catsup, mustard, and cheese, canned vegetables, bread, cereals, and salted snack food. It is found in table salt, which has about 46% of sodium. Okay, the table salt which has about 46% of sodium, and these are the foods we found the sodium in this. Okay, and sodium excess are eliminated primarily by the kidneys, and small amounts are lost in feces and perspiration. What is perspiration? The skin plays main role in perspiration. And regulation of sodium normally is maintained in the body within a relatively narrow range and deviations, and it quick result a health issues. Okay, any serious health problems. And salt intake regulates sodium concentrations, and after that the kidneys, these are the sodium reabsorption. They may be conserved through reabsorption in kidneys and a process of stimulation by aldosterone. Okay, and the molecular weight of the sodium is 135 to 145 milliequivalents per mole. Okay, and reabsorption renal tubule regulated by aldosterone, renin angiotensin, and ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide, and these are the main characteristics of the sodium sources and regulation and its functions. Okay, the main function is it is particularly influenced by sodium is in nervous tissue cells and muscle tissue cells. Okay, and after that potassium. What is potassium? K plus major intracellular cation 150 to 160 microequivalent mole per liter. Okay, and this is about potassium. What is potassium? Potassium is a major cation. This is also cation of ICF, and potassium and sodium work reciprocally. For example, an excessive intake of sodium results in an excretion of potassium and vice versa. Okay, for example, if we take an excess of sodium in our diet and then excretion of potassium also in an excretion of potassium. Okay, the function of potassium are it is a chief regulator of cellular enzyme activity and cellular water content, and this plays a main vital role the process of transmission of electric impulses, and particularly in nerve, heart, skeletal, intestinal, and lung tissue, protein and carbohydrate metabolism, and cellular building. And it assists in regulation of acid base balance by cellular exchange with hydrogen. And what are the main sources? The intake of potassium is 50 to 100 milliequivalents daily maintained potassium balance, and a well balanced diet contains adequate quantities of potassium. For example, bananas, peaches, kiwi, fig fruit, dates, apricots, oranges, prunes, melons, raisins, broccoli. These are the main sources of which contains potassium, high rich potassium content foods. Meat and dairy products also provide adequate amounts of potassium. And this potassium excreted primarily in kidneys by the kidneys, and its conserving potassium therefore deficit develop readily if excreted in excess amount without being replaced simultaneously. And gastrointestinal secretions contain potassium in large quantities. Some is also found in perspiration and saliva. And this is about the potassium. What are the main sources of this? The major sources includes bananas, peaches, kiwi, fig fruit, and dates, apricots, oranges, melons, broccoli, potatoes. We found potassium in these foods, and this potassium excreted primarily by the kidneys. Okay, and its regulation: kidneys conserve potassium when cellular potassium is decreased, and aldosterone secretions and normal range of serum potassium is 3.5 to 5. Okay, and it regulates resting membrane potential and regulates fluid ion balance inside cell, and regulation in kidney through aldosterone and insulin. Okay, this is about potassium. The main if in electrolyte imbalances is there may be decrease of potassium in the body that may result hypokalemia. Okay, and increased potassium levels in blood, that is hyperkalemia. And what is hypokalemia? It refers to a potassium deficit in ECF. Okay, potassium deficit in extracellular fluid. When the extracellular potassium levels falls, potassium moves from the cell, creating an intracellular potassium deficiency. And after that, these electrolytes shifts influence normal cellular functioning, the pH of ECF, and function of most of the body systems. And the depletion of potassium characterized by muscular weakness, leg cramps, apathy, mental confusion, and paralysis. Okay, the main depletion of potassium characterized by muscular weakness, deficiency of potassium, muscular weakness, leg cramps, apathy, mental confusion, and paralysis. Okay, this is about hypokalemia. And after that, the related factors leading to hypokalemia are as follows. It develops from excessive loss of potassium in the urine and stool, and from severe water depletion, potassium losing diuretics, furosemide and thiazide. What are the diuretics responsible for this? Furosemide and thiazide. And steroids administration, use of sodium penicillin and amphotericin B and carbenicillin. Okay, and hyper eliminations of poor intake as in anorexia nervosa and alcoholism, and potassium free parenteral fluids, osmotic diuretics. Okay, this is about the hypokalemia. It refers to an potassium deficit in extracellular fluid. The potassium level falls, potassium moves from the cells and create intracellular potassium deficiency. Okay, and after that, if we decrease our intake potassium content in our body, it may result muscular weakness like cramps, apathy, mental confusion, and paralysis. What are the main characteristics of this? Fatigue, that means weakness, anorexia nervosa, and nausea, vomiting, muscle weakness, decreased bowel motility, and cardiac arrhythmias, increases sensitivity to dialysis, polyuria. Polyuria means excessive urination. Nocturia means urination at night time, and dilute urine. If hypokalemia prolonged, these all may occur: polyuria, nocturia, and dilute urine. And mild hyperglycemia, a serum potassium below 3.5 micro equivalent per liter. And after that, ECG changes will be there, and respiratory hyperventilation. What is the main treatment of this? Management of the condition requires adequate management of the underlying conditions, and beware of clients at risk for hypokalemia and monitor for its occurrence. And assess digitalized clients at risk of for hypokalemia, especially closely for symptoms of dialysis toxicity, and take measures to prevent hypokalemia when possible. And prevent may take the form of encouraging extra potassium intake, and after that, due to abuse of laxatives or diuretics, education of the client. In case of hypokalemia, due to abuse of laxatives or diuretics, and administer oral potassium supplement when prescribed by the doctor, and may not need potassium supplements if they are using salt substitutes, because these substances usually contain sizable amounts of potassium. And be thoroughly familiar with the critical facts related to administering potassium intravenously. This is about the hypokalemia, that means deficient of potassium in the extracellular fluid. And hypokalemia means excess of potassium in extracellular fluid, characterized by conduction defect in the heart and myoneural congestion of the muscle. and the main related factors which lead to hyperkalemia. How the patient will occur this hypokalemia means if decreased potassium excretions and oliguric renal failure. Oliguria means decreased urine excretion, okay, and potassium conserving diuretic usages and hypoaldosteronism and high potassium intake, and especially in presence of renal insufficiency, improper use of oral potassium supplements, and rapid excessive administration of IV potassium, high dose potassium penicillin, and the foods high in potassium such as dried apricots. And it also seen in diabetic ketoacidosis. Okay, what are the main characteristics? Muscle weakness is the first sign, and heart block can occur. Bradycardia means decreased heart rate and cardiac arrhythmias, and flaccid muscle paralysis, and gastrointestinal symptoms such as nausea, intermittent intestinal colic or diarrhea may occur, and ECG changes false, and after that it can produce cardiac arrest, metabolic acidosis and respiratory acidosis as complications. And what is the main treatment for this? Replacement of water loss and correction of electrolyte imbalance. As a nurse, we have to replace the water loss and correction of electrolyte imbalances. And the client is given diet with restricted protein, but with as much as fat and carbohydrate, and also managing the underlying condition. And the nurse must be aware of clients at risk for hyperkalemia and monitor for its occurrence. And hyperkalemia is life threatening, it is imperative to detect it easily. And to prevent hyperkalemia, safely administering potassium safely both intravenously or orally, and follow the rules for safe administration of potassium, and caution client to use salt substitutes sparingly if they are taking other supplementary form of potassium. And after that, some of these are coffee, cocoa, to avoid foods high in potassium content or potassium rich foods, that is cocoa, coffee, tea, dry fruits, dried beans and whole grain breads. Okay, this is about hyperkalemia. Okay, the main treatment is replacement of water loss and correction of electrolyte imbalances. And after that, Cl minus, that is Cl means chlorine, chloride. Major extracellular anion, minus means anion, and its molecular weight 105, and regulates tonicity reabsorbed in the kidney with sodium. And the main regulation in kidney through reabsorption with sodium, reciprocal relationship with bicarbonate. Okay, chloride, the chief extracellular anion, is found in blood, intestinal fluid and lymph, and in minute amounts in intracellular fluid. And what are the main functions of chlorides? It acts with sodium to maintain the osmotic pressure of the blood, and it plays a main role in the body acid-base balance and production of HCl in gastric juices. And the average daily requirement of chlorides is unknown, and it is found in foods such as sodium, in dairy products and meat. Okay, and after that, the potassium deficit and chloride deficit leads to potassium deficit. Okay, so we have to take potassium in our daily intake of food, and normal serum chloride levels range from 95 to 105 micro equivalent per liter. This is about chloride. It is an extracellular anion. It is found in blood, interstitial fluid and lymph, and in minute amounts in intracellular fluid. And after that, sodium homeostasis. Sodium means normal dietary intake is 6 to 15 grams per day, and it moves easily between intracellular and interstitial spaces and move across the cell membrane by active transport. What is active transport? The molecules which are moves to the lower concentration gradient to the higher concentration gradient by required some amount of energy in the form of ATP. And in sodium, many chemical reactions in the body are influenced by sodium, particularly in nervous tissue cells and muscle tissue cells. And what are the functions of sodium? It regulates and controls the volume of body fluids, and it maintains water balance throughout the body, and primary regulator of ECF volume and influences ICF volume, and it participates in the generation and transmission of nerve impulses, and it is an essential electrolyte in the sodium potassium pump. Okay, what are the sources and losses of sodium? An average daily intake is not known, but the average adult intake is eliminated to be between 6 and 15 micrograms, and the recommended daily allowances for sodium in adults is approximately 500 mg for 0.5 grams. Okay, and in that we already seen about this. Urinary losses are tightly regulated by renal mechanisms, and there are some sodium abnormalities are there: hypernatremia and hyponatremia. What is hyponatremia? Defined as a serum potassium concentration that exceeds 150 micro equivalent per liter and always accompanied by hyperosmolality. Okay, what is hyponatremia? Sodium excess refers to surplus of sodium in extracellular fluid, and that can result from excess water loss or overall excess of sodium in the body, and it's give rise to cellular dehydration. And the main factors which lead to hyponatremia are depression of water, and most common in those unable to perceive or respond to thirst, and increased insensible water loss, and excessive parenteral administration of sodium containing solution, and hypertonic saline and isotonic saline, and diabetes insipidus, heat stroke, drowning in seawater. In these conditions, there may be hyponatremia also occurs when water losses of the body exceed sodium loss. Okay, it is seen in diabetes insipidus and glycosuria. Glycosuria means the glucose excreted through urine, and hypercalcemia means excess of calcium levels in the blood, and hypokalemia decreased levels of potassium in the blood, and chronic renal failure cases and acute renal failure cases we have observed this hyponatremia. And after that, what are the main characteristics? Thirst, elevated body temperature, and tongue dry and swollen, and sticky mucous membranes. In severe hyponatremia, disorientation and hallucinations. That means if increased the sodium intake, the person may feel disorientation and hallucination. That means in that place that is not there, but that person may hallucinate that person is there in that place, like that. Okay, and focal or grand mal seizures, coma, low blood pressure, tachycardia, these are the main characteristics which seen in that patients who have increased sodium levels in their blood. And what is the main treatment for this? Immediate attention and treatment instituted within 24 to 48 hours, and can avoid occurrence of cerebral edema. Okay, in mild cases are given IV infusion 5% of dextrose solution, and other cases restriction of water and salt by mouth. According to advice of the physician and according to the condition of the patient, we have to take other measures and medications. Okay, and as a nurse we have to identify the clients at risk of hypernatremia and monitor fluid losses and gains. If any abnormalities, losses of water or low water intake, and monitor changes in behavior and look for excessive thirst. This is about hypernatremia. Okay, in hyponatremia, uh, serum sodium concentration less than 135, in hyper more than 135, and renal losses caused by diuretics excess and osmotic diuresis and salt wasting nephropathy, and extra renal losses caused by vomiting, diarrhea, sweat, and third spacing result in a urine sodium concentration less than 20 microequivalents per liter. And etiology, excessive water intake and impaired renal water excretion and loss of renal diluting capacity. That means the main function of the kidneys are to excrete the urine through the kidneys, and loss of renal diluting capacity and impaired renal water excretion will be impaired. That means the sodium will be excrete through the kidneys while filtration, but here because of this the sodium retention will be there. Okay, there will be impaired in renal water excretion and excessive water intake. What is the treatment? Correct serum sodium and use 3% saline in severe hyponatremia, and hypocholeremia means chlorine deficiency of chlorine, most commonly from gastric losses. Okay, the main treatment is resuscitation with normal saline. And hypokalemia means decreased potassium levels less than 3.5 equivalent per liter. And what are the main causes? Already we seen hypokalemia and hyperkalemia. The main treatment is to correct the potassium, and after that calcium homeostasis. Body contains approximately 1400 grams of calcium, and reduction in calcium level leads to increases calcium reabsorption from the bone, and it increases calcium reabsorption and stimulates the formation of the active metabolite and stimulates the formation of the active metabolite of vitamin D. The main calcium abnormalities are hypercalcemia and hypocalcemia. What is hypercalcemia? Ionized calcium concentration more than 5.3. And etiology, hyperparathyroidism. That means increased levels of the parathyroid gland, increased or enlargement of the parathyroid gland, and cancer, Peyer's disease, and pheochromocytoma, and hyperthyroidism, and thiazide diuretics. Treatment is severe hypercalcemia. In that, to increase calcium excretion we have to give supportive therapy. Okay, include furosemide, that is example Lasix. It reduces the edema and it clears the water retention in the body. And calcitonin reduces bone resorption and has an immediate effect and lasts for 48 hours. Prolongation can be done by using corticosteroids. And hypocalcemia, ionized calcium concentration 4.4 micrograms per dl. Okay, this is about the and phosphate homeostasis. Daily intake 800 to 1200 mg per day, and kidney acts as the main principal regulator, and normal serum 2.5 to 4.5. And phosphate abnormalities are hyperphosphatemia, serum phosphate level 4.5, and etiology, renal insufficiency, malignant hypothermia, and hypoparathyroidism. The treatment are renal failure, to correct the renal failure, treatment of the underlying renal failure, and binding antacids are effective. And acute end stage renal disease, dialysis is required. So we have to inform to that patient. Okay. And electrolyte disorder, signs and symptoms. Sodium, if excess means hyponatremia, if deficit means hyponatremia, and this is very helpful to study. It is very easy to study. Thirst, CNS deterioration, increased interstitial fluid. Okay. And in potassium, hyperkalemia and hypokalemia. And electrolytes, calcium, hypocalcemia. And in magnesium, hypomagnesemia and hypomagnesemia. This is about the electrolytes imbalances and its importance, signs and symptoms, and its treatment. Okay. Once go through this topic and prepare your notes. In this chapter, mainly osmosis, active transport, facilitated diffusion, simple diffusion, these are the important for 2 marks. And in case may 5 marks also important, electrolyte imbalances and fluid imbalances. In other classes we learned about the fluid imbalances. Okay. Once go through this topic. Thank you.